guys use to build their armies? Not talking about money, it's talking about raising armies. Okay. Well, maybe.
I think it's the same idea. Both armies use the draft system.
Good job. So they use these military drafts. They also use at least originally paying bounties or paying money to the recruits for it. What? Alright, number 4. In what way was the Civil War the first modern war in American history?
Right.
Alright, Ethan.
The first war in which 20th century techniques were used. It was the first war in which 20th century techniques were used.
Did you just write the same sentence twice?
Good job.
Okay.
No, I just fixed it a little bit.
Okay, no, that's fine. It's basically the idea we were using more modern weapons. We were starting to use more modern, methods of fighting, like using balloons. Now, balloons are not practical long term, but it was the idea of using up in the air, going in trenches, using bombs. So it was the idea of using newer methods for it.
Can you not shoot the balloons down?
They did. That's why we don't use them long
And then they
term.
blew up.
Yeah, but airplanes were not invented yet. But it's the idea of going high up in the air to go spy down on somebody else.
They did like 1863.
What?
What planes were invented in 63? 18. Was it 1915 something?
1903 was the first takeoff flight.
My great grandfather's still alive.
It's okay. But yeah, that's okay. We'll talk about that. That's the reason why we don't use airplanes yet in this time period. Alright, so again, lots of modern keep being used. This is the first time we're having reporters going with it and trying to basically relay back home what's happening to the battle. Previously, the reporter to the newspaper journalists, newspapers weren't more relied on to get news quickly, and plus it was dangerous. This is the first thing we're having reporters basically saying, I want to know information first to get it back home quickly so they can print it in the newspaper. Remember, internet was not around, so the newspapers were the main source of relaying information. That's when they wanted to get it so quick. Alright, number 5. Let's see, why was the British steamer Trent stopped? Alright, Quentin, we'll go over to you.
2 Confederate commissioners were on the boat.
Yeah, and so because of it was stopped to get them off. Alright, number 7. Who was President Lincoln's running mate in the presidential election of 1864 or his vice president? Alright, Brecken. Number 7.
I think you skipped one.
I skipped 6.
I thought
I'm
you said
sorry.
wait.
What amendment abolished slavery permanently from the United States in all areas under her jurisdiction?
The 13th Amendment ended slavery ability in all the United States.
Good job. Did you say her?
Hmm?
Okay.
You didn't know
number
that
8.
it's a woman?
It referred to organizations, a lot of cases with her, like ships and other things.
Can I do number 8?
Maybe. Number 7. Who was President Lincoln's running mate? Okay.
Andrew Johnson was Lincoln's running mate in the presidential election of 1864.
I think
Good
I'm
job.
gonna say Jackson.
Alright, number 8. You remember, Andrew Jackson is somebody else. So remember,
Oh,
Andrew
Johnson.
Johnson. Andrew
Is
Johnson.
he already been president? I know he's from Georgia. I know that.
I'm from Georgia.
What?
Jackson has already come and gone in history. Alright, so number 8. Name the actor who assassinated President Lincoln.
John
Is it,
Wilkes.
nope, is it a
Yes.
good full sentence?
Yes.
No.
Yes, you may.
John Wilkes Booth killed Lincoln, my homie.
Okay, I'm glad you had Lincoln in there.
Assassinated?
Alright.
He ate your home.
Alright, 1 through 4 on the next section. Prior to the Civil War, what region of America was affected by revival and what were the results? You just answered one. We'll go over to Quentin.
There was a nationwide revival. People began to forgive others.
Here we get to what?
Began to forgive others. That's what
Okay, yeah, so the moral fiber of the nation was strengthened, so yeah. And what section of the country did have it?
all of it.
Okay,
Wow.
so
Okay,
New
so-
England, Midwest,
That's in
large
Iowa.
southern cities, so that was the
I ain't
major
seen
ones.
certain regions, so
I put the Northeast.
I put Northeast too. I said
Yeah.
the whole nation.
Yeah, well, New
Northeast
England
and
is the
Northeast.
Northeast.
I said
New
Australia.
England is the Northeast area. Number 2, who was the representative of the YMCA and the Christian Commission who spent much time witnessing to Union and captured Confederate troops? I know, make sure you're not scratching. Edith's turn.
Theo Moody witnessed to Union and capture Confederate soldiers.
Good job. Number 3, what organization distributed over 900,000 Bibles in 1864? Frickin'.
The American Bible Society distributed over 900,000 Bibles.
Good job. And number
Over
4,
900.
who was the most responsible for the the adoption of the motto, "In God We Trust." It's Genesis 2, she hasn't done 2 yet.
Salmon teaching.
Good job. Alright, you go ahead and put this away, take out a piece of paper, you write down stuff you don't know, as a review, very quickly. No, we do not have time today, so we have to move very quickly. Alright,
You don't know.
yeah, we gotta go. Alright, we will start, I started with Ethan from chemistry, so we'll start with Genesis and we'll move around that way for it. So we're gonna do just a treasure hunt game, I have got to move.
Yes,
You've got to move.
The what game?
Treasure hunt, the treasure hunt game.
Oh, cool.
It's just loading.
Treasure
So,
hunt.
don't forget that you get to ask a question, don't forget you get to pick a number in a second, but I'm gonna keep going for it. Alright, where did the Civil War officially start?
Fort Sumter.
No, it's her
Fort
turn.
Sumter.
I
I
said it's
already
her
knew
turn.
it. I was gonna say it anyway.
Okay, choose your number. Quickly.
You're welcome.
16. I'm
That's
not.
wrong. That's wrong. That's wrong.
16.
Yeah.
Alright,
Because we
who
remember-
was the Union major in charge of Fort Sumter? We'll go around the front and just loop around in like an awkward circle. Okay.
What's it called?
His last name begins with an A. I've gotta go. We don't have time. A. We'll just say just the next person in line, because just
Anderson.
move quickly.
Anderson.
Anderson, Robert Anderson. Okay.
13.
13.
12.
What?
I already said 13. Sorry. Alright, Chris's turn. Alright, Chris, who was the Confederate general in charge of defending the fort?
Start with B.
Starts with B.
Beauregard.
Beauregard.
PTF Beauregard, right?
Yes.
No,
PGT Beauregard.
29.
Was that 29?
Yes. Thank you.
Alright, what is the year for the start of the Civil War?
1861.
Good job.
27. April 19th. 1861.
No.
What was that?
April 9th.
No.
April 11th.
No.
April 10th.
No.
April
What?
12th. April 12th.
April 12th is it. So there goes the
You
next
really
question.
gave it.
April 12th.
She only asked for the year.
She only asked for a year.
I did.
Miss Morris is up their game. I can't trick her anymore.
I also remember where I put it.
Where?
27. Yeah.
I thought you said something about it. Alright, alright, what do you call a treaty between independent nations to act as a
Compact.
group? Yes.
Wrong.
15.
15?
Excuse me?
You're
Yeah.
close ones.
Alright, we're gonna skip that for right now. Alright, what was the capital of the Confederacy?
Chicago.
Okay, you're next.
Oh, Richmond.
Richmond, Virginia.
Chicago. Chicago. 12.
12? Alright.
What is it?
Not telling you. Let's see. Alright, what is the name for the Confederate ironclad?
Confederate Ironclad,
Yeah.
the Virginia, CSS Virginia.
Good job.
Let me go with 3. CCS.
What is the name for the Union ironclad?
Monitor.
USS Monitor.
CCS or CSS?
CSS. It's Confederate something.
Confederate
They're on the
submarine ship.
potential quiz. Is it
25.
wrong?
If you just write what?
If we just write Virginia.
Yeah, you're fine. You can write that.
25.
25.
Point five.
25. Yup.
Point six.
Let's see. Alright, who was the Confederate general in charge of defending Richmond mainly? This is where he stuck for most of the war.
Oh, sir.
Confederate general in charge of defending Richmond. So it's been L. Lee. Robert E. Lee.
8.
It's your boy.
What was that?
8. 8.5.
You know, it's not even she wonders, like she doesn't know exactly where it is.
I just can't remember because they always start at the bottom. It always throws me off. Alright, at what battle was the railroad section of Corinth captured? It was the Battle of what?
Does it start with?
S.
Is it easy?
I've heard guys' names. I've heard a guy's named after this, but I don't know if it's super common.
It's not easy.
Yeah, I don't think it's super
No.
common. But I've known a couple different ones.
married, so.
Alright, go there. There you go.
I don't know.
Okay.
Shiloh.
Shiloh. Battle of Shiloh.
What does that mean?
It's a good name, it's just not common.
19.
0.6.
That's it.
Alright.
There we go.
What was Grant's nickname?
Grant.
I know.
Starts with an S.
You.
Wait, it starts with U.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Dang, that's.
Oh no. Was it? It's no surrender. Surrender something, Grant. Right?
I know it.
You.
I know it.
Is it
It goes just to the next person, just remember to so you can move forward.
Yeah, I don't know.
Unconditional surrender.
Unconditional surrender grant.
That's the most crazy.
35.
Nope. What?
I thought that was it. That's
Nope.
all I saw it.
Nope.
Let's see.
That's why he's got a lot.
We can stop right now, it's at Genesis.
No, I gotta be going.
That is true.
What? We haven't even gone through everything.
Yeah,
No,
man.
we haven't. Alright, what battle was the single bloodiest day of the Civil War?
Antietam.
Yeah, Antietam.
Antietam.
But we say it typically really fast, so Antietam, and some people say it quickly.
22.
Alright, what was the document that freed all of the slaves in the states in rebellion against the United States?
Well, give him the easy one.
You start with an E, right?
Yes.
Emancipation Proclamation.
Good job.
The only one I have.
Yay.
So Bracken can say.
It's just gotta be, it's just the next one. Who
When he-
issued the Emancipation Proclamation? Cause I gotta know, cause you gotta know.
Abraham Lincoln.
Why is
What's
that?
his first name?
Abraham.
Why is that even important?
23.
Because you need to know it, it's important.
So who doesn't know that?
Some people apparently.
After graduation.
Alright, what is the year for the Emancipation Proclamation?
1863.
Good job. January first.
Are you sure? Is that right? 11.
No.
Alright. Alright, so what battle was the South's costliest victory?
Wait, sorry, wait.
It started with, well, it's the battle at, and then C.
Solid,
Battle of,
yellow, I don't know.
alright, just next person.
Victory.
Nope. Oh, yes, it is a victory. It was the South's costliest victory.
It starts with
Starts with C.
a C.
C. Alright, next person, just going along really quick. Okay?
Wait.
I already wrote.
South cost his victory.
Mm-hmm. So how many people they lost and then
Where was
somebody
this?
else died?
Where is
It's the battle of what?
Oh no, I know it.
Come in, so I gotta move.
I don't know.
Okay.
Is it in Tennessee? Is it Chattanooga?
No,
Starts with a C though?
just start with C.
Is it a city?
Yes.
Is it a big city?
Sort of, not really. It's not on this map.
Fredericksburg.
Nope.
Start with a
It's,
C.
it is in Virginia though.
That
Okay.
was my question.
Alright, that was Chancellorsville.
I knew that too.
As soon as you
Chancellorsville.
said it was Virginia, I know.
Alright, back over. Who died at the Battle of Chancellorsville? I mean, lots of people died, but who was the important person that died? Because he was shot by some people.
They're all important.
Stonewall Jackson.
Stonewall
Oh, there's not a
Jackson.
general.
So it says it was
The
dark.
secretary, I mean, the sentry was nervous and he just heard people moving in the bushes because Stonewall Jackson came, and he left it dark and he came back on horseback and the sentry didn't know who he was and he shot him. So I mean,
Shouldn't have shot him like they're coming in the camp of
What do
Confederates.
you do about that?
I mean, it was an honest mistake, so it's not like that he got like in trouble.
They should have had a
Pick a
symbol.
number. They should.
Alright, we gotta go call.
28.
Echo Doc. I got a tingle.
No. No.
Yes.
Echo Doc.
Alright,
I got a tingle.
what was the real name? Make sure you're not paying attention. I mean, make sure. Make sure you're not getting distracted. Make sure you pay attention. Alright.
Should have said no bastards.
What is the real name for Stonewall Jackson? I thought I asked this earlier and I forgot.
Start with an
Starts with T.
A. A T.
Yeah.
How much do you got?
Because remember the song.
It's Quinn's name.
It's what his name.
Trevarians?
Trevon?
Alright, we gotta go.
Chiquila?
I don't know. Chick-
Okay,
Thomas?
Thomas Jackson.
Of course.
I just threw out a name out of everyone. I just know it's Stonewall
Pick a
Jackson.
number.
24!
No.
Alright, I am just about out of
I
questions.
know exactly where it
Go
is.
back to
Alright,
what?
what
I know exactly
battle
where it is.
was the most decisive battle of the war? It was the turning point of the war.
Start with a G.
Yep.
Is that Bergen?
The what?
Berg? Is that
It does have
Bergen?
Bergen.
Is it Gettysburg?
It is Gettysburg.
Can I do
Imagine it was.
26?
It's 26.
No, also, sorry. Alright, let's see. What is the year for the Battle of Gettysburg?
Wait, sorry, wait.
W.
1860. Go.
1860.
What was the question?
What is the year for the Battle of Gettysburg?
Oh, that's easy.
That's easy.
1864.
Final answer?
Yes.
Nope. I don't know.
I knew it.
Okay.
Really?
Nope.
1863.
I just said something.
1863.
I just said
Why?
I just said something.
Alright, Alright,
34.
what was that?
No.
34.
It's
No.
gotta be 36.
It's gonna be 20.
It's
Alright,
36.
I'm just gonna keep.
It's gotta be, 3.
Alright, who wrote,
Jason started.
It's Chris's question.
we'll do one
But yeah,
more.
that's my question.
It's Chris's question.
Is it?
2 more.
Yeah.
Alright,
Yeah,
who
it is.
wrote the Gettysburg Address? Cause you gotta know this.
I was sure
We already went to
That was Emancipation
We'll start with-
Proclamation.
same thing.
Who wrote the Gettysburg Address? Yes.
Do you not see this?
Abraham
What are we
Lincoln
studying?
on
The
one?
preamble?
I don't know.
21,
I thought we were learning.
21.
I hope not.
Alright,
Bill.
last question then.
Wait, don't know it.
Please
Don't
start
know it.
with
Don't
me.
know it.
I'm not gonna know it.
Alright,
You don't get a question.
Please be a hard
Roar.
one.
Yeah, you
What's
started.
up? What?
alright. What was the battle where they captured the railroad city of Corinth?
Okay, start with
S.
that was Shiloh.
Shiloh. Okay.
Can we all get 3 guesses?
3 guesses.
Nine.
I'll let y'all get,
Yeah.
I think there's enough, maybe, I think there's enough to do everyone to go through it twice, so I'll let y'all guess. Alright, we'll start with Genesis, and we'll just loop, and then we'll go backwards.
Whoa.
It's
18.
I was about to
You're
say
wrong.
it's
You're
18.
wrong. You're wrong.
18.
Alright,
Oh.
go.
It's
I know,
got to be
Brandon.
number 4.
No.
Yeah.
Even. No.
I was gonna say that too. 7.
No. Final answer?
No.
Yes.
No.
32.
No.
I was gonna
Yes.
say
No.
32.
She picked 31, I'm telling you.
14.
No. No.
14?
No.
Alright, going
That's
backwards.
crazy.
Loop around.
Is it my turn?
Nope. It's
30.
No.
Final answer.
No.
20.
No.
Final
It's
answer.
gonna come to
Yeah.
the last one.
5.
Final?
No.
Final answer?
You keep saying no about every
Sure.
one.
I know.
She wouldn't put it in the middle, then would she?
I don't know.
Just
Choose
what?
10. Get it off the board.
Alright,
It's
I'm just gonna
truthful.
pick 10 to get it off the board.
Sure.
Watch that shit. The one we don't pick is gonna be.
It's gonna be like 36, like I've been saying. in the past.
33.
33?
29.
Final answer?
Yeah.
It's 36.
Bruh.
Alright.
Bruh.
Paper.
I was gonna say that next. I was like,
Two pieces of
5?
paper.
I use that for me.
I was saying it was gonna be 36. I just said the dark sheet.
No, because you two people are on your
My arm.
I told you it was 36 for the
You're
past
too far
20
away.
minutes.
Can I use my book as a
I don't have paper.
No.
My
Can I
clothes
read
book?
these real fast?
No.
I have one piece of paper left. Because I've been letting you
Can I piece of paper, Dad?
Excuse
My
me?
paper.
That's the
Thanks,
whole
Daddy.
one.
Oh my god.
Hurry. Hurry. Quickly.
I'm done.
Question, are you being appropriate back there making my video?
Yes, I am.
Are you being appropriate?
Yes, ma'am.
It's 1 to 10.
Okay.
Where
Okay.
did the proclamation sign? Was it 63? When was it?
1863.
Okay.
Do we only have to know the year?
For right now, yes.
What year?
Number 1.
1927.
19.
Number 1. Where did the Civil War technically start? Where? What fort? So you can even just leave off fort. So what fort did the Civil War technically start at? This is quiz 30, in case you care. I looked up the proper number this time. Number 2. Who was the Confederate general who attacked that fort? Who was the Confederate general that attacked that fort? Today is the 2nd. Number 3. Alright, you should note the full date by this point. It's been several days we've gone over this. What is the full date for the start of the Civil War? What is the full date for the start of the Civil War? Number 4. What was the capital of the Confederacy? Number 4. What was the capital of the Confederacy? What city? Don't write the state. Heading that one off this time. What city was the capital of the Confederacy? Number 5. What was the name for the Union's ironclad? You can leave off USS because that stands for, that's for United States service, but USS, what is that, like what is the name for the actual ironclad? I believe it's United States service. Write the actual name. Oh, like write the, I thought you were writing that as your answer. No, write the actual name of the ship. Alright, number 6. What is the name for the document that freed all of the slaves of the states in rebellion against the United States? What is the name for that document? Number 7. What was the battle that was the capture of the railroad station of Corinth? And this was important. What's the name for that battle? So it's the battle of what?
Good Star Wars.
I can't tell you.
No, we have to write battle of
No, you can leave what battle of?
two.
Okay.
That's
What was the battle whenever they took control of the rail center at Corinth? Alright, number 8. What battle was the single bloodiest day of the Civil War? What battle was the single bloodiest day of the Civil War? This is the battle of, and then another battle. Could be same battle, could be different battle. Good luck. Spelling error. You have no idea. Number 9. What battle was the South's costliest victory? Partly because of how many people died, but then also because of an important person also died as well. So, number 9. What battle was the South's costliest victory? The number 10. What battle was the most decisive battle of the war? It was the turning point in the war. What battle? So it's battle of was the most decisive battle of the war. Alright. Anyone need anything repeated? I have no idea what that means.
Bonus.
I don't want a bonus.
B.
Alright. Sorry, not today. Anyone else need anything else repeated though?
That was good, was number 10. I would take that 9.
Alright.
Number 10.
Go ahead.
I have short-term memory.
It's okay. Alright, so go ahead and turn your textbook then to page 220 and hand it to me as I come back.
What was the date for the start?
For the
Year.
April.
Year.
1861.
Number
What's
5.
number 10?
What was the US's ship?
Wait.
I wrote that
Wait,
right.
Jamie, I'm assuming you're done. Pause the video if you're not done.
What's number 10?
Gettysburg.
Gettysburg.
What was the ship?
See, I look at every
We'll talk
time
about it
she
later.
picks it up, I remember.
We'll talk about it later because I don't have time to go over all the answers. I have to move. I have 15 minutes. Look it up later. Alright, so we left off talking about Gettysburg yesterday. So make sure it's turning point in the war. This is whenever this was the most decisive battle of the war. At this point, it was pretty clear that the South was going to lose. It was just a matter of time. And so that's one reason why it's remembered as the turning point in the Civil War. As a side note, what is happening on Friday, Brecken? Friday.
That one we're saying okay.
That's whenever you're taking the Gettysburg quiz. What is happening on next Tuesday?
That. Write about it.
The first chapter of the write about it, so don't forget. Alright, so now, so now we're moving on to the next section of the war from 1863 to 1865, these final battles for it. Your book switches over and another important battle starting to take place over here. Okay, good, Jimmy can still see. Was over here with Chattanooga. Now remember, they've already captured the Mississippi River, and they've already captured several other major rail stations. Now they're trying to basically cut across this section of the South and try to capture these railway lines as well for it. So, one to capture Chattanooga, that was an important rail center in Tennessee. Now remember, Grant, right up until this point, was focusing on capturing Vicksburg. That's why Grant is still not around focusing on this quite yet, because he's still capturing, or finishing up, wrapping up capturing the Mississippi River. So, the general over in this particular section was William S. Rosecrans. So make a note for him. And the Confederate general is Braxton Bragg. Because remember, who's the major Confederate general in charge of defending Richmond, Quentin? Lee. So Lee's up here. Grant is more down here at Vicksburg. But now it's focusing on, okay, capturing up in this section for it. So this is between Rosecrans and Bragg in this section. So William Rosecrans, he's able to take Chattanooga, but whenever Bragg turns around and able to actually start fighting, they start fighting at the Battle of Chickamauga. So make a note for that. So it's Chattanooga and Chickamauga right here, very close together. This is whenever Bragg pushes Rosecrans back in to Chickamauga, and that's whenever they're kind of stuck at that point. They're basically under siege. Your book points out, if it's on the next page, that the Confederate had fortifications on Lookout Mountain and Missionary Ridge, and they were basically kind of stuck there. This is whenever though Grant is able to finally come up and help them out and push out on the Confederates, and they've officially captured Chattanooga at this point for it. This is whenever Lincoln says, okay, Grant's a good fighter, I'm putting Grant in charge of it. So make a note at the top of page 121 that Lincoln makes Grant the Supreme Commander of the Armies of the United States. And so Grant said, okay, there's three major parts to how he's going to manage the Confederate fighting against Confederacy. What was the first one? It's up page 221. Ethan.
What was the what?
Alright, there are three basically parts to Grant's plan for a three-pronged attack in the spring of 1864, trying to hurry up and end the Civil War.
Keep fighting against Richmond.
Okay, yeah, so Meade and his forces in the east would continue to hammer against Lee at Richmond, basically keep him trapped down. Since Grant also knew that Lee was a really good fighter, he said, okay, I need to keep him trapped up here, so that way he can't come down here and defend the Carolinas or Georgia. If I keep him locked up in Richmond, Virginia, he can't come fight anywhere else. Alright, what was the second major part, Brecken?
The Union forces in the west would push southeastward from Chattanooga, crushing the Confederacy as they went.
Good job. So going down this direction, so Chattanooga's right here, so going down this direction for it. And what was the last one, Genesis?
Land and naval forces would coordinate an attack upon the Confederate fort of Mola Island, which would be captured upon.
Yeah, we already talked about the guy that captured him. I didn't ask it as a review question today, but does anyone remember who was the guy that captured Mobile, Alabama? His last name first starts with F, and it is not French.
Frederickson?
Oh, close, not quite.
Is it Farragut?
Farragut.
Yeah.
Farragut. Just make a note for him as well. Alright, so the person that was in charge to go march down this direction was William Sherman. Make a note of him. He's known for his March to the Sea. That's what his campaign was known as. And it was pretty brutal. Now, he understood this is war. People die in war. We need to hurry up and end the war. And so he started more of a psychological warfare against the South as well for it. And so that's probably the reason why even the North felt like Sherman was a little bit crazy just because of how extreme he went for it. Your book points out though, among the Confederacy, they tried to stop him. So with Joseph E. Johnson, and he eventually gets replaced with John B. Hood, but Hood, he gets defeated at Atlanta. So that's whenever Sherman is able to march directly across Georgia at this point. Basically, he was trying to just demoralize the Southerners as much as possible. They lived off the land, which keep in mind, if they live off the land, who does that hurt in particular? Someone raise your hand.
If they live off the land? Them.
So like the civilian, like the people living there in the land. They would go through and they would destroy crops, they would destroy buildings, they would basically take whatever they wanted. In some cases it was just wild looting, they were like bandits basically. Your book points out that it was 60 miles wide whenever they were cutting across a 300-mile course. So basically a large strip of just destruction. The South is greatly angered and hurt by this, and the North was even kind of horrified whenever they found out because they understood, okay, yeah, it's the enemy, but we in theory want to put our country back together. We're still going to have to talk to these people. You can't just hurt them and just expect them to move on. So everyone, even on both sides, kind of thought Sherman was a little bit extreme and a little bit crazy, but Sherman understood this is war, gotta end it, people are dying. Okay.
Have you ever seen Braveheart?
I have not watched that movie. I know loosely what it's about though.
Yeah. You know, like the looting scenes where like the British would burn down the houses. It's based on the Revolutionary War. But is that kind of what they did? They like just go and like burn houses down.
Yeah, basically. We're gonna watch.
Did they
Okay,
kill
I have
like
time.
women and children?
I don't know if we got that much in it. Your book's keeping it very nicely. I don't know if they would go through and like. Okay, I'm gonna record this. I have to keep it G. But I don't know if they would go through like that extreme for it. Your book doesn't say, and I did not do a lot of research. But they were basically just wild looting or bandits. So is it possible? Because again, there's bad people in every group. Possible? Was it like everyone was doing it? Probably not. But again, I did not look it up, so I'm not sure. Alright, so your book points out as well that he captured Savannah, and he was able to capture a lot of supplies and also cotton. Now, why do you think the book and Sherman mentioned in particular that he caught 25,000 bales of cotton? Why is that important to even bring up?
Because of the money?
Yeah, because cotton was worth a lot of money. So he was saying, oh hey, I caught all this resources basically for it. Alright, we're gonna watch a quick video about it, really quick for it. Alright. We'll let Quentin get the lights since Genesis is so far forward. Not quite yet. Alright, I'm sorry Jamie, the video won't show up very well.
When are we gonna watch the amputation one?
Later.
Ooh.
Like this week?
Maybe.
Tomorrow.
Alright, we Be sure to share that talk during the video so everyone can hear, don't have a whole lot
From
of time.
November 15th until December 21st, 1864, General William Sherman, Uncle Billy as his troops called him, marched more than 60,000 men, 285 miles, from Atlanta to the port city of Savannah, Georgia, during his famous March to the Sea. His soldiers burned buildings, twisted miles of railroad track, and trampled the countryside.
General Sherman realized and understood the importance of railroads in the American Civil War. He used them to his troops' advantage, and then he destroyed it. Typically, the destruction of rails by heating them under fires and then putting them around trees became known throughout the South as Sherman bow ties.
The Civil War started as a sort of quaint, almost genteel war where the fighting was really between the armies. By 1864, the war had completely changed. Civilians were now fair game, as Sherman proved as he moved through the South. He lived off the civilian population and land. He destroyed everything in his path.
On December 21st, 1864, Union soldiers arrived in Savannah, Georgia, to find the city abandoned. General Sherman presented the city and its 25,000 bales of cotton to President Lincoln as a Christmas gift.
William Tecumseh Sherman absolutely defines the Atlanta campaign, and he really defines the entire war in 1864. With that soar in northern morale, Lincoln is reelected, and once the political will is in place to prosecute the war to its conclusion, only then does the outcome of the war become inevitable.
So again, really quick video, but just pointing out about how Sherman understood, okay, this is war. Technically, everything's allowable in war as much as you can get away with. But at the same time, this is supposed to be our country. And in theory, we were supposed to get back together. So he was doing a lot of things to cause hurt and anger and just unrest in the country with the idea of trying to put the South and the North back together again. So even when the North realized, you probably shouldn't do stuff like that, because again, these are cousins and friends and family down in the South. Now they're fighting for something that we don't agree with, but these are still our people, and you are hurting them and doing things deliberately to them. Alright, I'm gonna have questions though about that before I move on. Alright, really quick, so Sherman, once he captured Savannah, he starts going up and just carving just war destruction basically all the way up through that section as well. He's most known for the March to the Sea, but he goes up through the Carolinas as well and does the same thing for it. Alright, Richmond, Virginia is also under threat. This is whenever Grant starts to focus on. Now remember, which other Confederate general is supposed to defend Richmond, Virginia? Ethan. Lee. So Lee's defending Richmond, Virginia, and Grant is now fighting Lee, trying to hurry up and just end the Civil War. So Grant, he starts his wilderness campaign, and now trying to go through and just get Richmond, Virginia, and try to hurry up and take it for it. He goes south and loops around more this direction for it and comes up this way. So it's known as the Wilderness Campaign because it was more through rugged territory. But even like if I go through Petersburg, that way Jamie can still see it. So he would go through Petersburg and loop up through Richmond and capture it that way. He does capture Petersburg, and then he does capture Richmond, Virginia. Now, Jefferson Davis and the Confederate generals and the Confederate officers, the people in charge of the government, they leave. They don't wait to get captured. So Jefferson Davis was not captured at Richmond, Virginia, but Grant realized it was more important to hurry up and capture General Lee instead of going after Jefferson Davis. Now it's gonna be confused Lee to Appomattox Courthouse. This is whenever Lee finally says, it's too late. The Capitol's fallen. Our government is basically in shambles. I'm running out of people. I don't want to get every single one of my soldiers killed. We're going to lose. We might as well just surrender and just be done with it. So this was whenever you had the surrender at Appomattox Courthouse. Now it's called Appomattox Courthouse, but it's a private home. If that was the name of the house for it. Make a note of the date for Lee's surrender. So April 9th, 1865. Now, kind of small. Sorry, Jamie. Make of that for Lee's surrender. Grant was very, very, very lenient with his terms of surrender. Now remember, what was Grant's nickname, Brecken? What was Grant's nickname? Alright, Quentin, what was Grant's nickname?
Unconditional surrender.
Yeah, so if you look at his terms now, he is very, very, very lenient. He says, he told Lee that his troops would be paroled, so they don't have to go to jail, they can just go home. The officers can keep their sidearms, the people, they can keep their horses and their mules. Why do you think it was important? He was saying, hey, your officers can keep their guns and your regular people, and they can keep their horses and their mules. Why is that important? Keep in mind, this is the South. Why do you need weapons in the South? Partly, something else though. Hunting to go get food. And then why do you need your mules and horses?
To hold the cards.
Yeah, because it's agriculture still. So that's come Grant said, okay, this isn't the North where you have industry and stores to go out and buy food. This is agricultural based South. You can keep your sidearms, you can keep your weapons, so that way you can go hunt, and you can keep your horses and your mules, because you're about to lose all your slaves. So you need this to be able to stay alive, basically. He also gave him 25,000 rations for Lee's troops, because he realized your troops are starving. Here's some food for your people, because he understood, okay, war's basically over. We need to focus on healing it at this point. We need to put our country back together. I don't want the enemy to starve to death. This is still American, and we're going to try to blend our country back together again. As a symbol of respect, he let Lee keep his sword. It was symbolic for the enemy to surrender or give up his sword. But Grant said, no, you can keep it. You were a good general. You fought for your cause. The cause is over now. You may keep your sword out of respect for it. Now, that's one of the reasons why, even though Grant was known as Unconditional Surrender Grant, he understood the point is to put the country back together at this point. Alright. Okay, end of confidence update really quick. There's a couple of things that happened. We'll finish this tomorrow though. Alright, have a good day. Don't forget, Gettysburg Address on Friday, and the first draft is Tuesday.